Oh, hello there, Barbara.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Good. I'm just sitting here reflecting and waiting to read a book with you.
Oh, well, I found this book about Marian Anderson. She was the lady that we talked about on Live with Lucky.
Yes, the talented contralto singer.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a beautiful picture book that I found about her, and I thought it's very long, but I thought maybe we could read a little excerpt from it.
An excerpt is where you just kind of talk about the most important pieces there on that page.
It's almost like a trailer, a preview to a movie.
Right.
So this book is called When Marian Sang, and it's by Pam Munoz Ryan, and pictures by Brian Selznick.
Yeah.
And so we're going to start by just looking at some of the beautiful pictures.
They are beautiful.
The story, it's like a biography. So it talks about her when she was a little girl growing up with a family. And how even when she was a little girl, her voice was so beautiful. Yeah. She sang a lot at a church.
Yep, she sang there. It looked like a little chorus in church. Oh, and she went on to be in another chorus, a more prestigious chorus,
called the People's Chorus. Yes. Oh, yes. And it was from people from all different church choirs in Philadelphia. And she was one of the youngest members, so she had to stand on a chair so that those in the back could see her.
She definitely had to be very talented to make it into that, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So then they go into how she had a hard time finding people to be her teachers in terms of getting her to develop a musical talent because she was an African American.
Right.
There was one time that she tried to go to a music school and she waited patiently in line and they kept calling everyone around her up and they didn't call on her, and finally the girl said, "We don't take colored people. We don't take African American people."
Well, at this time also she lost her father. Her father passed away, so you can imagine being a young that this was a lot to handle. And she knew about prejudice, and she had her mother who comforted her, but she didn't understand she could never be a professional singer because of the reason, just for her color being different.
Exactly.
Yeah. And she didn't understand because she felt like her feelings were the same as anyone else.
Well, all humans, and and then there was a big moment where she finally saw a Metropolitan Opera performance, and that was just an amazing moment in her life because she thought, "Oh, I would love to do this."
So it inspired her to maybe keep going.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So she continued to strive hard and travel around and do some beautiful musical things. But while she was traveling, she always had to stay in the dirtier, crowded train cars because they were segregated against white people.
And she couldn't stay in the hotels because of the color of her skin.
So many obstacles that she had to overcome.
Oh, this part's great right here.
Yes, I love this part. So she tried to study under the great famous Giuseppe Borghetti, who was a famous musician,
this man here,
teacher, and he announced to her that he didn't have time or room for any new students. And she was so nervous that she didn't even look at him, but she took a deep breath and then she sang to him.
Yep.
And when she looked up, he said, "I will make room for you right away."
So he saw her talent and said, "You know what? I don't care. She's great.
She's fantastic." So she studied under him and she traveled the world singing to different people all over the world. She sang in many different places. She sang in Norway, and she sang in Sweden and Finland and Denmark, and everyone was just, they called it Marian Fever because people were just obsessed with her. And it seemed like her teacher, Mr. Borghetti, had been right. She could go anywhere and sing for anyone. And this is the part we're going to read.
Right, here we go.
Until she came home to the United States. In 1939, Howard University in Washington, D.C. booked a concert with Marion Anderson and began looking for an auditorium big enough to hold the audience that she attracted. They decided that the 4,000-seat Constitution Hall would be perfect, but the manager of the hall said it wasn't available and no other dates were offered because of their white performers only policy.
Oh, goodness.
So Marion's agent, Sol Hurak, wrote to the hall manager pointing out that Marion Anderson was one of the greatest living singers of our time, but it did no good. Enraged fans wrote letters to the newspaper in protest. Eleanor Roosevelt, the First Lady of the United States, resigned from the organization that sponsored Constitution Hall. Do you want to keep reading?
Yeah. Howard University then tried to reserve a large high school auditorium from an all-white school. Again, they were denied. Now teachers were angry and marched in support of Marion in front of the Board of Education. Washington, D.C. was a boiling pot about to spill over. Wasn't there someplace in her own country's capital where Marian Anderson's voice could be heard?
Oh, I wonder where she's going to sing. Oh, committees formed and held meetings. Finally, with President Roosevelt's approval, the Department of the Interior of the United States government invited Marian to sing on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial on Easter Sunday.
Wow.
Her country was offering her a momentous invitation, but she had concerns. Would people protest? Was it dangerous? Would anyone come? Examining her heart, Marian realized that although she was a singer first and foremost, she also had become a symbol to her people, and she wanted to make it easier for those who would follow her. So she said yes. Standing in the shadow of the statue of Lincoln, waiting to be called out, she read the engraved words, "This nation under God shall have a new birth of freedom."
Marian looked out on a river of 75,000 people.
Oh my goodness.
Her heart beat wildly. Would she be able to utter one tone? She took a deep breath and felt the power of her audience's goodwill surge toward her. Marian's sisters were there, and mother too. Marian stood straight and tall, and then she closed her eyes and sang, "My country, 'tis of thee, sweet land of liberty, let freedom ring." And a roaring cheer followed every song. At the end of the program, the people pleaded or begged for more when she began her thought-provoking encore. And this was the lyrics to the second song. "Oh, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows my sorrow." And silence settled on the multitudes.
All the people there.
Wow, look at this. What a lovely picture. You know, I imagine that she sang with her eyes closed because she was probably very nervous and just
and very emotional.
very
too.
emotional.
Yes.
Yeah.
For almost 16 years after the Lincoln Memorial performance, Marian sang for kings and queens, presidents and prime ministers,
Wow.
famous composers and conductors. She received medals, awards, and honorary degrees for her magnificent voice. But there was still one place Marian had not sung. When she was finally invited, a dream came true. Marian wondered how people would react. No Negro singer had ever done such a thing. She would be the first, but she didn't need to worry. After she signed the contract, someone said, "Welcome home." On opening night, excitement charged the air. As Marian waited in the wings, the orchestra began. Her stomach flooded. She walked onto the grand stage. Trembling, she straightened her costume and waited for the pounding music she knew to be her cue. Tonight was her debut with the Metropolitan Opera.
Wow.
At long last, she had reached the sun and the moon. The curtains parted.
And Marian sang.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
a lovely, lovely story.
That is such a moving experience, but
It
so many
really
obstacles
is.
were in front of her,
Yes.
and she just persevered until she could live her dream.
I know that she also received another award 2 years before she died. I cannot remember for the life
it was
of
a
me.
Lifetime
Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yes.
Yeah.
What an incredible woman.
What an incredible woman, yes. And this book is available in our media center. And what's great is in the back here, there's some more information with some notable dates about her life.
So you can learn even more
Yeah, if
about
you want
her.
to learn even more about it. So, wow, fantastic book. Thanks for reading that with
Oh
me
my
today.
gosh, absolutely. This makes me so emotional to think of all the things that she had to go through
Right.
and how she just persevered to achieve what she wanted.
All right.
Everyone have a fantastic day, and we'll see you next time on
Live with Lucky. Bye-bye.